Yes, we are celebrating 10 years, and now we have to celebrate also a man who invested 10 years of his own life to grow to this organization what it is. Alexander McCoben trained hundreds and thousands of students, including me, and made them better leaders. He created this movement that we are now enjoying, and it is just wonderful to see that he now is on the board still and that he's a donor to Students for Liberty, and I welcome Alexander now to give the Alumni of the Year award. Thank you very much.
We began giving out awards at the second annual Students for Liberty Conference in order to provide examples for young libertarians to emulate as they go forward. The Alumnus of the Year award was added several years later to provide examples of individuals who are inspiring young libertarians around the world. And we have given the Alumnus of the Year award out to some notable and impressive individuals. But none of them have had the impact on so many young pro-liberty students' lives as this year's Alumnus of the Year, Dr. Tom Palmer. Long before there was Students for Liberty, Dr. Palmer was a student for liberty himself. Students today can easily communicate with hundreds of their peers and organize conferences and events at the click of a button with the email. When he was a student, he had to take $10 worth of quarters and monopolize the payphone at the end of his dorm hallway for an entire afternoon just for the hope of reaching a dozen individuals. Dr. Palmer represents the phrase, a gentleman and a scholar better than anyone else. There is no person with greater poise or dignity. He has used his doctorate in philosophy from Oxford University to write countless articles and books, including editing and contributing to all 5 of Students for Liberty's books over the years. But he hasn't stopped there. He has taken his ideas and been an activist for liberty in ways that are impressive by any measure. As an illustration, at the height of the Cold War, he would smuggle copies of the US Declaration of Independence into the Soviet Union at risk of his own life and security. And 10 years ago, when we were organizing the first Students for Liberty conference, Dr. Palmer saw the potential in this before even we did. 9 years ago, when we started this as a nonprofit organization, he was the first person to start raising money for us, to introduce us to speakers, to give us feedback on our business plan and guidance on where to go. When we became international, he began to use his many speeches across the globe to recruit new students and start Students for Liberty in all corners of the earth. And ever since then, there's been no individual who has done more to make Students for Liberty the incredible organization that it is today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor and pleasure at the 10th Annual International Students for Liberty Conference to give our Alumnus of the Year award to the Atlas Network's George M. Yeager, Chair for Advancing Liberty and Vice President for International Programs, Dr. Tom Palmer.
Thank you, Alexander, and thank you, all of you. I remember the first time I met Alexander, 2006. He was a very tall junior at Penn, and he invited me to come up and speak on capitalism or free markets or free trade or something. I forget. But it was a great group. I had a wonderful time. I met all these people who were very excited about liberty. But I thought it was just one club. I do that sort of thing, and I enjoy it. I have to say that I never feel more alive than when I'm standing in front of a group of students and talking about freedom. Afterwards, when he and his colleagues set up Students for Liberty, I was very honored that they asked me to be an advisor. And I like that, because they asked for my advice. Sometimes they take it, and I like that. And I also like the fact that sometimes they don't. That I'll say, I think you should do this, and they get back and say, we thought about that, we discussed it, and we don't think that's the way to go. We're going to go this other way. And I like that, because this is a student-run organization, and I think that's very important. I meet SFL members all over the world, in Africa, and South America, and Europe, all across Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Middle East, Students for Liberty in Afghanistan, and in places where you have to be very brave to stand up for these ideas. Cambridge, Massachusetts, and a lot of places like that. I'm very proud of these young people. And to me, it's very important. I feel I have an extended family. And it's important to me that I know that the flag of liberty, of enlightenment, of toleration, of peace, of freedom of trade will be carried forward long after I'm gone. I'm also very proud that I'm a financial sponsor of Students for Liberty. I'm sure it had no connection to this award. When I go to their events, I like the fact that they're cheap. They don't throw my money away. They're very careful with how they spend it. Every month I make a donation, and it's not only painless, I feel good about it. It gives me joy to know that it is changing the world. I make special donations in addition, and every time I speak to conferences, I end to address the regional conferences. I say, everyone here, when you graduate and you get that great job, put aside $10 a month for Students for Liberty. It's easy to do, and it will change the world. You will become donors to this movement for a long time. I'd like to offer a very special toast that I learned in Poland. Polish Students for Liberty is a great group, by the way, and they do a lot of wonderful things. I've spoken at many of their events, and I'm reminded of all the Poles who have fought for freedom around the world. Poland, like the United States, has liberty as part of its culture. In America, Tadeusz Kościuszko, Kazimierz Pulaski, Chaim Solomon came from Poland to this country and supported the American War for Independence. Chaim Solomon, very importantly, was known as the financier of the American War for Independence. They fought in Germany and Hungary in 1848. They fought in Italy. And in 1831, in the November Uprising for Polish freedom, their slogan was put on a flag in honor of the Russian Decembrists. And it really captured what Students for Liberty is about. Because they did not hate the Russians, although they were under Russian occupation. And their flag said, and I apologize to all the Poles in the audience, "Za nasze I wasze wolność." We fight for our freedom and yours. And all around the world, Students for Liberty are fighting for their freedom and ours. So I would like to ask you to join me in a toast to the work that Students for Liberty are doing all over the planet, and for all of us to work for our freedom and theirs. Thank you very much.